and thank you for joining again today. Again, we will start with the motivations. Take a few moments to settle down and quiet our mind by watching the breath mindfully. Then we can try to generate the motivations, both the motivation by thinking the purpose of my life is not only to be concerned with just my own happiness. That would be too selfish, as well as limiting our own potentials. Therefore, the purpose of my life is to be as much help, benefit as possible to all sentient beings in whatever way we can, directly, indirectly. And in order to be greatest benefit and help to each and every sentient beings, I must achieve fully awakened state. In order to achieve fully awakened state, I must engage in the Bodhisattva path. And for that, I need to practice the Bodhisattva path. And in order to practice, I need to continue to learn, study, and therefore I'm going to listen. The teachings, not only listen, but trying to integrate as much as possible from whatever we learn. Okay, so we can share the refuge and Bodhisattva prayer. 사시베기 중심에도 담리
Vibram-ling Vinidam-gyam-padi
성계신도 미대우와 누구나마다신 주바라쇼이담 불라나만다바가니야타야미. Refuge and Bodhisattva. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by mere merit of listening to the Dharma. May I become a Buddha to benefit thus my greater being. Sangye Chodang Soke Sonam Chanju Padu Dane Kyapsoch Dagi Shuje Ki Pe Sonam Ki Nola Penje Sangye Dupash Sangye Chodang Soke Sonam Chanju Padu Dane Kyapsoch Dagi Shuje Ki Pe Sonam Ki Nola Penje Sangye Dupash. So good morning everyone. Again and again, welcome and thank you for joining today. And we have been discussing on the Shantideva's Both of Way of Life, chapter 8, the chapter on meditations. And within that, we are in the part of that chapter where Shantideva talk about how to cultivate the bodhicitta mind, and using that, the meditation bodhicitta as the object of meditation here. And especially in relation to generating bodhicitta mind, then especially here, using the one particular meditation technique method of equalizing, exchanging self with others. And in relation to that, there are 5 points of meditations in that meditation, and we have been kind of going through the first point of meditations, still kind of, which is equalizing self with others. And just to summarize, what we have talked yesterday from the Shantideva, the main thing is to really emphasize in our meditation practice that that each and every sentient beings wish to be happy, and they do not wish suffering, just like ourselves. And on that fundamental level, that we all are same and equal. And on that fundamental level, there is no differences. And we try to understand and really feel from our heart that there are no difference, separate, and from us on that very fundamental level, with many different perspectives, with many different reason and logic that he explains. So that is the main thing, So by cultivating that, we all are equal, same, on that very fundamental level, and not to allow our mind to be carried away by those, temporary differences, external temporary differences, but instead try to really feel that the oneness, the equalness, sameness of all of us, sentient beings, because on that fundamental level, we all are same. Everyone just trying to be happy. Everyone trying not to suffer. So that was the main point. And with that understanding, once you have that understanding and feeling of that we all are same, equal, no differences, then on the basis of that, then, trying to protect others from suffering, just as you protect yourself from the suffering. Trying to help to achieve happiness of others, just as you will try to help to achieve the happiness. Just as you try to dispel whatever pain, suffering we might encounter, in the same way, also trying to help to dispel the suffering of others. So that is the main theme and focus, with from many different point of view and reason logic. And so that is, and in terms of the verse, we are in verse number 111 on that. And so sometimes we might feel, it might not be possible for me to really feel so close with everyone, every sentient being close to me and dear to me, same like me, and thereby, trying to protect them from the sufferings, thereby helping them to achieve happiness. That seems too much, that seems too much. I will not be able to do it, I might, maybe I'm not I'm not capable of that. I'm incapable of doing that. So sometimes, again, that can be a discouraging force for us, not having the confidence and trust in ourselves, you know. And we might think it's too difficult for me, you know. I'm not ready for that. Sometimes we might feel that way and discouraged. And so again, to encounter such discouragements, that it will be too difficult, impossible for me. Then in the verse number 11, it says, although the basis is quite impersonal, through constant familiarity, I've come to regard the drop of sperm and egg of others as I. So, and the next, so in the same way, why should I be unable to regard the bodies of others as I? Hence, it's not difficult to see that my body is also that of others. So basically, what here Shantideva was saying is all depends on training, familiarity. If you are familiarity through training, everything becomes easy and easy, which seems very difficult can be very easy, which seems impossible can be possible. And he give an example, you know, for example, our body, which is made out of sperm and eggs of our parent, which is not ours, the sperm and eggs are our parents. And our body, which is made out of that, slowly throughout the childhood, by being familiar with that thing is my body, then, you know, even though it's not yours to begin with, now you feel it's my body, you know. And how can that be? How can you feel that without even trying? And spontaneous, you feel because of familiarity, that of constantly kind of thinking is my body, and on the basis of that, then it's me, I, on the basis of that, then cherishing that. And cherishing me, cherishing my body, all of that, all these cherishing come on the basis of that. If that is possible, if something that is not yours, but now it feels like it's yours, the body. And so in same way, you know, in same way, if we train our mind and we get familiar with that, then eventually you started to feel sentient beings are like mine, just like this body is mine. Sentient beings are like mine, the object of something that I need to take care of, something that I need to protect. When because of this is my body, then we always feel I need to take care of this body. I need to protect this body. I need to care myself. I need to protect myself. In the same way, when you are able to feel through training and familiarity, all sentient beings in same way as my sentient beings, my people, my sentient beings, they are the objects of something I need to take care of. They are the object of something that I need to protect from. And then you can feel as much cherishing to them as you cherish yourself and your body at the moment. So it is possible through training, humility, and giving with that example. And so that is, so again, with that, then we try to encourage, give a courage, you know, instead of being discouraged, thinking it is not possible for me. How can that be possible for me? So whenever you feel that, then again, we remember these verses. We try to contemplate, meditate, and then, you know, even it's very difficult at the moment, but if I train myself and make familiar with that, it will be easy and not difficult after some times. So that is where. And then the next, you know, and then 13, having seen the mistake of cherishing myself and the ocean of good in cherishing others, I shall completely reject all selfish and accustom myself to accepting others. So just as it will come more later. Shantideva will explain, how the selfish attitude is the root of all the suffering, all the problem. On the other hand, how the cherishing for others is the root of all the happiness, all the goodness. He will go more detail later, but here just mentioning. And with that understanding, then we try to reduce and eliminate the selfish attitude as much as possible, and we try to generate the cherishing thought for others as much as possible. And as it is mentioned in Pavangar Rinpoche's Guru Pujas, where this selfish attitude is a chronic disease, that create and lead to all the sufferings and all the problems. And if we look in the world, most of the problems, all the problems, is result of selfish attitude. If there was no selfish attitude, if everyone have cherishing thought for others, we wouldn't have all this conflict. We wouldn't have all this conflict. We wouldn't have all this problem. Same in our families. Whatever conflict we have in families or in organizations is due to the selfish attitude of each individuals. If all these people who work there, everyone in the family, everyone in the organization, everyone in the country, everyone in the world, if there's no selfish attitude, but instead cherishing thought for others, sense of caring for each others, all this conflict wouldn't be there. So with that understanding, we try, try to reduce and overcome or eliminate the selfish attitude as much as possible, and then trying to generate the cherishing thought for others, which is the root of your happiness, temporary happiness, ultimate happiness, root of your happiness, root of others' happiness. So, and next verse, 114, in the same way as the hands and so forth are regarded as limbs of the body, likewise they are embodied creatures not regarded as the limb of life. So it's basically saying, different part of our bodies, limbs, even though, they are different, but they are, one part of the one wholeness, that's the body. And therefore you need to protect each part of them to protect the body, and you need to take care of each part of those limbs to take care of the whole body. And you are part of that whole body, and in the same way, all sentient beings are part of one family of sentient beings that need to be taken care of, each of them. Each part need to be taken care of, by you. Which part that you need to protect, each part that you need to protect, each part that you need to cherish, and so that is in the same way, like that you need to protect each part of the limbs because they are part of one body. In the same way, one need to take care of all sentient beings because each of them are part of one whole family of humanity, all human beings, as a family of all sentient beings. Each sentient being part of that sentient family of that sentient beings. Again, similar to previous, everything is about things, whether it is difficult or not difficult, whether it is difficult or easy, it depends on familiarity. With familiarity, things become easy. If it's not familiar, without familiarity, then it is not easy. It becomes difficult, And what makes you to have the familiarity is constant practice. Constant practice makes you familiar with that. And with that familiarity, then it becomes easy. And so that is where, 115, through the acquaintance, has the thought of I arising toward the impersonal body. So in a similar way, why should it not arise towards other living beings? Similar to others, if you really practice again and again, and with that practice, when it becomes familiarity, then just as you feel the other's body as your body, and thereby you cherish the body, thereby you try to protect it, you try to take care of it. In the same way, if we practice again and again, then with that practice and familiarity, then you will be able to see and feel all sentient beings as like your body, as my sentient beings. Just like my families, just like my body, my families, Similarly, you will be able to feel all sentient beings. Similarly, like all of them, sentient beings are like my families. That's something I need to be concerned, something that I need to take care of, something that I need to cherish. And that can happen. Why can't it happen? Because it has happened with our body. And the reason why we have been able to have that with our body and such as family is because of that kind of familiarity of constant and that training. So that is next one. When I walk in this way for the sake of others, I should not let conceit or feeling that I'm wonderful arise. Basically, when we try to help and benefit others out of cherishing for others, out of concern, loving kindness, compassion, when out of that, when we're trying to help someone, in whatever way, we shouldn't allow feeling sense of superiority based on that, because you are more kind, compassion, because you are more generous, because you practice, meditate more, and so forth. If we allow that, then again, on one hand, we are doing something good. Another hand, we are doing something bad. Allowing the negative emotions, such as the superior, to creep in. So we have to be mindful that such sense of arrogance and sense of superior to creep in when we do that. And it is just like feeding myself. I hope for nothing in return. And so, and this one, just as, when we eat, which is like feeding our body, we don't hope the body to say thank you, acknowledge, or you are giving me food. Do we? Do we expect? Do we hope the body to acknowledge and say thank you and nice? We don't expect, because the body needs to be fitted to survive and to sustain, and we fit it without any hope and expectation that it will acknowledge, that it will be grateful, it will feel gratitude, that it will thank you, and all of that. So in the same way, here is saying, when we try to help and benefit others, also we try to do that without any hope, without any expectations of them acknowledging your help. Without hope and expectation, they will feel gratitude to you. Without hope and expectation, they will be, they will respond with the same kind way back to you. All of that, because when we have those kind of expectations and hope, as we mentioned yesterday, it can lead to disappointment. It can lead to bitter, resentful, and all other negative feelings, bad feelings, And so again, next, therefore, just as I protect myself from the unpleasant things, however slight, it's similar to one of the verses we already went before. In the same way, I should habituate myself to have a compassionate, caring mind for others, So again, just as we try to protect ourselves from even the most smallest, slightest unpleasant, even just small physical discomfort of being a little bit too hot, a little bit too cold, we try to make comfortable ourselves, even though maybe it's not a big thing, it is just slightly, little bit too cold or slightly a little too hot, but still it's a little bit unpleasant, discomfort. And so we try to make it as much comfortable as possible if there's a way to do it, in the same way, we try to cultivate out of compassions, and caring mind for others. With that kind of compassion and caring mind for others, also we try to protect them in whatever way we can from even the slightest sufferings, if we can. And we try to help them to provide happiness, even if it's small, in whatever way we can, whenever it is possible. And then the next, it is out of this great compassion that the Lord of Avalokiteshvara has even blessed his name to dispel the nervousness of being among others peoples. So, it's talking about the incredible Bodhisattva's attitudes, such as there's in the sutras, there's Avalokiteshvara, when he was on the path as a Bodhisattva, he made a great prayers, that due to all the virtues, positive potential that I have created so far and that I will be creating now in the future, due to all of that, in the futures, whoever recite my name, whoever hear my name, recite my name, may that person be free from any kind of nervousness whenever they are in mass and gather with others, whether in the teachings or whether in other gatherings, So even the very smallest unpleasant, such as feeling nervous in being in a group gathering, the Bodhisattva was very aware of that. And even with that very small, slightest problem, and they make this prayer for them to be free from even those kind of slightest unpleasantness. And that is like what Avalokiteshvara did. And this is just one example of the great Bodhisattvas, how they dedicate all their virtues, everything to, to get rid of the suffering of sentient beings, not only the big suffering and unpleasant, but even the very slightest sufferings and unpleasantness. And so that as an example, then again, it is encouraging us to also to dedicate all our virtues, at least we have that all these virtues that we can dedicate for other sentient beings to be, relief from whatever unpleasantness, whatever problem, conflict, sufferings, all of that. Next, I should not turn away from what is difficult, for by the power of humility, little bit similar again, some of the earlier verses. I may be, but different example. I may be made unhappy even when someone whose name once frightening me is not around. So again, when you get used to and familiarity, then things could change. Something which feels very difficult can become easy. Something which feels impossible can become possible. And here the example giving is maybe there might be someone you have met, you are that very frightening of, because you don't know that person good enough, and externally that person seems kind of, not smiling, kind of stern, you might feel that that person very stern, very big, and not smiling, and looking in certain ways, and you might be frightening of that person's at the very beginning because you don't know. Slowly you get to know the persons. Slowly you get to know the persons. And slowly, not only you get to know the persons, you become friends, close with that persons. And slowly, when that person not around you, you started to miss that person. When that person is not there, you started to miss that person. So from being very frightening and afraidful to someone that you started to missing when that person is not around, how can that become? How can that change come? Because the change came because the familiarity, because you get to know the person, and you become a friend, and familiarity, and really knowing that person very well, and that is what. So that with that example again, something that it seems something not possible before become possible. At the very beginning, you're so frightening. You think I can never be friend with this guy. This guy seems scary. But again, after some time, it can. So that is another example. So therefore, never run away from something that seems difficult at the moment. Otherwise, you will never. If you run away, it can never become easy. The only way it can make easy is not run away and instead try to make familiar with that. Next one, those who even wish to quickly afford protection to both himself and other beings should practice the holy secret, the exchanging of self for others. So here, whoever has this wish, to protect oneself and others from the sufferings and the cause of sufferings, and also from all the obscurations, then, one should practice this, sacred or holy secret, and which is the practice of exchanging self with others. The bodhi, the mind of exchanging self with others. And it is called sacred. Sometimes you also find that in others' lojong as well. And it is mentioned is a sacred because such practice, might not be for some people, they might find difficult, if they are not ready. you know, means, like cherishing others more than oneself, and the others becoming more important than yourself, taking others' suffering on yourself, giving your happiness on others, it is not, cup of tea for everyone, uh, it requires certain courage. It requires certain courage. If someone doesn't have such a courage, then they might find a little bit challenging, difficult at the very beginning. And so therefore that is why this practice are more strong, powerful for those who are have those kind of courages and confidence, courage, and that. And so that is why it is called sometimes secret, that you find the practice of exchanging self with others, or the practice of the Tonglen, taking and giving as a secret, and that's why you find that. And as it says here, this exchanging self with others, bodhicitta, is the really, that can protect yourself and protect all sentient beings. And it is only through that bodhicitta mind that one can achieve the true, the ultimate protection, the Buddhahood. The ultimate protections, you can only achieve that ultimate protection for yourself and ultimate protection of all sentient beings. Who and what is the ultimate protection for yourself and all sentient beings? Is that fully awakened state, fully enlightened state, the fully enlightened one, fully awakened one, fully enlightened one, fully awakened one. That state is the ultimate protection for oneself and is ultimate protection for all sentient beings, others. And in order to achieve that ultimate protection of fully awakened state, then one must practice this, the bodhicitta of exchanging self with others. Without cultivating that bodhicitta mind, of exchanging and without exchanging self with others, that bodhicitta mind, there's no way one can achieve that ultimate protections of the Buddhahood. Okay. And then from next, it is explained a little bit about the the selfish attitude is the root of all the pain, suffering, conflict, And due to that selfish attitude, then we have strong attached to our body, Due to that selfish attitude, then we have strong attachment to our body, our experience, our views, our ideas, all of that comes, all this attachment to yourself, attachment to your body, attachment to your views, attachment to your experience, and all this attachment arises, due to that strong, self-cherishing thought, So because of attachment to my body, even a small object of fear frightening me, So who would not reveal as an enemy this body that gives rise to fear? So basically, it is saying, when you are so attached to your body, then a lot of fear arises in relation to that, Or something might happen to me, or something might, even you are not sick, you started get worried, I might get sick, you know. Even you are not so weak, you started to get worried that I might get weak. Even you are not unable to walk now, you already started to worry, I might not be able to walk in the future. Even though you are not, you haven't reached there, but we have all this fear and worry about what might happen to my bodies. For example, that is only one example of body, is just here one. Why do worry so much? We don't know whether it's going to happen or not. But still we worry a lot of those things, even with small things. The reason why we're so worried because we're so attached to it. Because we're so attached to it, you know. And because of that, then, you know, in that sense, it's almost like, you know, so therefore, basically, here the advice is not to get attached to it. Not to get attached to it. You have to take care of your body. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your emotions, all of that. But we can take care of it without attachments. And if you don't have attachments, you are able to take care of that without all this unnecessary fear and worries. At the moment, we have to deal with so much unnecessary fear and worry about futures. What might happen to me, my health, is this and that, which there's possible of things going right, wrong, there's always possible. But you don't have to go through all this fear and worry. But we do go through all this unnecessary fear and worry. The reason that we go through that is because of the attachment. If you don't have attachment, you don't have fear, worry, but at the same time, you know that things can go wrong, and you try to take precautions. You try to, you know, precautious. You try to plan. You try to, you know, take care of it, but without the fear and worry. Wouldn't that be wonderful? A lot of time. It's not about planning. It's not about, you know, taking care of precautions. We are so burdened, overwhelmed by fear and worry so all the time. So much fear and worry about so many things. And the reason is all due to that attachment. And so therefore, if you let go of attachment, you don't have to deal with that fear and worry that comes because of the attachments. Next, by wishing for a means to remedy the hunger, the thirst, the sickness of the body, you know, I might kill birds, fish, deer, and slaughter by the side of the road to rob others, you know. So again, you know, because we are so attached to, due to cherishing, due to the strong cherishing thought, and then attachment arises. And due to those attachment, such as to our body, you know, then, you know, in order to, you know, fulfill those attachments, you know, and in order to, you know, take care of that body overly sometimes, you know, and then, you know, sometimes we take the life of others in order to survive ourselves, you know. We take the lives of others and thereby create a lot of negative karma. And you take someone's life, which is as precious as your own life. It's not your life is more precious than someone's life. Every life is equally precious. And then in order to, you know, protect one life, you take another life, you know. And that is, again, you know, it doesn't feel, it's not correct, you know, because both lives are equally precious. And therefore, and also in terms of karma, then we create a lot of negative karma to that. Also, in order to satisfy that attachment, and we are willing to rob others. People are willing to rob others, steal others, and thereby again hurting and harming others, and also creating negative karmas, And next one, if for the sake of its profit and comfort, I will kill even my father and mother. And then sometimes you see in the world, we often hear stories, when people out of such strong self-cherishing thought, due to that strong attachment, in order to gain wealth, in order to gain power, sometimes children kill their parents. You often hear histories, the prince killing the fathers, the king, in order to rule the countries. Also sometimes we hear also in now, not only with those history, but even now, sometimes, partner kill each others for wealth. Sometimes friend kill each other for that. Sometimes family, relative kill each others for that. All of that, why? Because they are so attached to all this, the profit, comfort, power, money, wealth, all of that, due to that. So someone is willing to do such a unthinkable actions, almost is something unthinkable actions, but people do sometimes do that. The reason they do that is because of out of their strong attachments. So, and still the property of triple gems, the Buddha Dharma Sanghas, which is a very strong negative karma. And then I would undoubtedly proceed in the burn to the flame of the deepest hell. And by creating such negative karma, by engaging in such actions, then we create a very strong negative karma. And with that strong negative karma, then, as a result of such negative karma, then one can born in the future to be born in one of the, most worst lost realm, unfortunate states, and then experience so much sufferings. So, due to that attachments, we hurt others. We suffer in this life due to that attachment, because there's a fear, because there's a worry, and many other jealousy and many other emotions. And not only we suffer that, because here also, we create negative karma, and then as a consequences, we experience suffering in the future by taking rebirth in the law of rebirth and experience suffering on that. And even if we take a higher rebirth as a similar action, then people will kill us. Another people will kill us. Another people will steal us. And all these similar actions we experience. And all this happen because of attachment, and that is because of that self-cherishing thought. So is rooted in that self-cherishing thought. Here, that is rooted. All these problems are very much rooted in, and therefore, here again, we should try to reduce and overcome the selfish attitude and the attachment that arises because of the selfish attitude. Therefore, what the wise man, next one, what the wise man would desire, protect, and venerate this body, who would not scorn it and regard it as me. For someone, who is wise, who is able to have the wisdom to see emptiness, impermanent nature, essenceless nature of, the body and everything else, then they will not get attached to that. They will not get attached to that. Someone who's wise, who had wisdom to see your body, your emotions, you yourself, your wealth, your reputations, everything else as a nature of impermanent, as a nature of emptiness, as a nature of essenceless, because they cannot really give you true happiness. Someone who is able to see that, then they don't get attached to that. They don't get attached to that. Instead, like an enemy, they will distance themselves from that objects, and instead being so attached to it and holding it so tightly, instead they will let it go. And they have no hesitation to let it go, and to distance themselves, and and not regard as the object of that. So next, if I give this, what shall I have left to enjoy? Such selfish thinking is the way of ghost, or selfish or harmful spirit or evil. If I enjoy this, what shall I have left to give? Such selfless thinking is quality of the God. It's a divine attitude. So here, this thought, the first thought is what I have, and many of us have. We have fear and worry, afraid to practice generosity, to give. Or if I share this, if I give, what will be left for me? If I share this, if I give this, what will happen if I get sick? What will happen when I get old? What will happen? So there's always a fear of sharing and giving. And even when we're at the last stages of our life, still we could have that fear. Still, oh, I need that for futures. If something goes wrong, I will need that. Even everything is just fine and perfect to you, that you don't have to worry about it. But there's a fear, what happens if something goes wrong in the future? And if something goes in the future, I need that. So even though we have more than we need, and to be shared and to be able to help others and to make difference, but we are unable to do that because of that fear. Even the billionaire, trillionaire feel same way. Even the billionaire and trillionaire are also feeling same way. If I give this, that's why they are unable to give. Why couldn't they practice more generosity and help? Because they have the same fear like we have. They have the same fear that if I give, then if something goes wrong in the future, I will need them. And they have this sense feeling of not enough. And that attitude, that fear, that stop us from being generous, from helping someone else, from making the differences, is because of that selfish attitude. Because of that selfish attitude. On the other hand, the Bodhisattvas who are selfless, those true Bodhisattvas who are selfless, they would think, if I eat this, if I enjoy this, what will be there left to help someone, to give to someone? Totally opposite. Totally opposite. You know, if I use this for myself, if I enjoy it for myself, what will be there for me left to help to someone, to give to someone, to make difference? That is true selfless Bodhisattva's attitude. You know, and again, you know, I have experienced in sense that I have noticed many other teachers, some of my teachers and others, you know, where even they had the resolve to make their life a little better, to have a little better food, to enjoy a little bit. They would not. Instead, they will use that to support the monasteries, to support the community. That is what I call similar, like selfless attitude. You know, they could have used that for their own comfort. You know, they could have said it for themselves if something happens in the futures. Because, you know, we don't know. But still, they didn't care about what might happen to them in the futures. You know, things can go wrong, not wrong, good, bad. What might happen? What might they didn't care so much. They didn't think so much of that. But what they thought, you know, how can I support the community, the monastery that support thousands of monks, hundreds and thousands of monks for their education and so forth. And such are the, again, selfless Bodhisattva attitude. And again, you know, of course, even though we might not be able to practice them completely as it is said here, but we can practice a little bit of it. You know, we can try to be a little bit fearless. You know, we can try to be a little bit fearless, you know, to share, to help, you know, and to make, even it's a very small differences. Maybe it's not a big difference, but even it's a small differences. Sometimes from our point of view, it seems like small differences, but for the other person, it might be a big differences. You know, it could be life-changing for them, you know. So, and not only life-changing for one person, sometimes it could be life-changing for the whole family, sometimes whole community. You know, you often hear so many stories about certain individuals where they are in the brink of breaking down and going totally wrong way, and then in that moment someone show up and they help them. You know, of course, different people in different way, they help, and that shifted their mind, and that shifted their life, and with the changing, the shifting of them and their life, then they were able to make huge difference in their community and the whole world. So much differences. And so you never know how your small help might be able to change. Oh, I think next. If for my own sake I cause others harm to others, I shall be tormented in the hellish realms. But if for the sake of others I cause harm to myself, I shall acquire all that is magnificence. So, you know, out of selfish attitude, don't try to harm others. If you try to harm others out of selfish attitude, not only others are hurt, also you create negative karma that you will experience, suffering in your future. So in that way, when you act out of that selfish attitude, harming others, it harms yourself. It harms others immediately, and it might harm you also immediately, but definitely in the futures as a result of that karma. On the other hand, when you help others by sacrificing your own happiness to some degrees, uh, the willingness to go through little bit of hardship, little bit of pain, little bit of suffering yourself in order to help and benefit others. If you are able to do that kind of both sort of actions, attitude, then definitely it helps the other persons in that moment. But also, it will also help you in that moment. Maybe it can give you a lot of, confidence, encouragement, positive feelings, joyfulness in being able to help someone. But definitely also in the future, as a result of that karma, also you will experience a lot of different high level of joy and happiness. By holding myself in high esteem, I shall find myself in unpleasant realms, ugly and stupid. But shall this attitude be shifted to others? I shall acquire wholeness in the joyful realm. But again, out of that selfish attitude, if we try to regard ourselves as superiority, feeling superiority, and as a result of that feeling of superiority, whereby you look down on others. That is what the superiority, arrogance is. The attitude of feeling of superiority, the arrogance is, it has these qualities, in that mind has qualities to look down on others. By looking down on others with that kind of arrogant attitude, then, even in this life, people will not like you. You will have more people disliking you. When you treat others in that way, when you try to look down on others, treat them as they are less than you, inferior than you, and you are better than them, definitely nobody want to be treated like that. And when they feel that you are treating them, they don't, naturally they will dislike you. And you don't like people disliking you, isn't it? We don't like people disliking you. And in that way, again, it bothers you because why people are not liking me, why are they having problem with me, and so again, it bothers you, it makes you unhappy. And then not only that, even in the futures, then again, you experience as a result of that, then you could be born in a unpleasant realms, and even you are born in a high realm, still you can be very, not wise, your mind being, very sharp, as well as your appearance being not so, pleasant and attractive. But and on the other hand, if you try to regard others as a superior, and regard them highly, and yourself as a less, with that kind of attitude, then again, even in this life, people will like you. It's not your motivation because you want them to like, but by product, when you regard someone highly, when you respect them, when you hold them very highly and superior, then with that again, people like you, and that make you happy too. And also in the futures, as a result of such karma, then again you can be born in a high rebirth, not really high rebirth, other people respecting you, other people regarding you highly, in same way that you regard for others. Next one, whatever joy there is. So from here, then it comes more details of that. Whatever joy there is in the world, it all comes from desiring others to be happy, the cherishing thought for others, you know. And whatever suffering there is in the world, all come from desiring myself to be happy, from the selfish attitude, the self-centeredness, you know. And again, you know, it's quite clear. It will also come later, you know. But if we look deeply, sincerely, honestly in ourselves, okay, if we try to really sincerely, honestly, and look deeply in ourselves, why am I having a conflict with others? Why am I unhappy with someone? You know, why am I being disturbed by that person's behavior, action, attitude, whatever that is? Deeply, you can see this, the, you know, the self-centeredness involved there, the self-centeredness, the selfish attitude involved there, you know. With that selfish attitude, you know, we have strong idea about everything is about me, you know, the way I think is right all the time, you know, the way I think everything should be, the way I want, the way I think is right, the way I feel is right. It is all about that. And therefore, things are not going the way that I feel is right, and therefore I'm disturbed, I'm unhappy, you know, because I'm not achieving, getting the way everything I want, therefore I'm disturbed, and therefore I'm not happy with that person's. So if we look in deep, it's so clear, you know, it's that selfish attitude. More than the other situation, the other persons. That is only very small contribution. The main contributions is your own selfish attitude. If there is no selfish attitude, with that same person's behavior, action, attitude, you might not agree, but you will not feel disturbed. Your mind will not be so disturbed, agitated, upset, angry, unhappy, like we at the moment that we go through. Definitely, you might not agree with that person's behavior, actions. And you might take actions to stop such kind of harmful action in cases in need to. But your mind will not feel all this feeling of hurt, upset, angry, disturb, all of that. And that comes from selfish attitude, you know. And if we talk about karma, you know, all the suffering that we experience on individual levels is our karma, is the ripening of our karma. And that karma is created, the unpleasant karma, the root of all this suffering is created because of that selfish attitude, due to that selfish attitude, you know. And also, you know, due to selfish attitude, that's why we're still in samsara and we're still suffering in samsara. That's why we haven't still achieved the fully enlightenment. You know? On the other hand, you know, the cherishing thought for others, you know, the concern, the cherishing thought for the loving kindness, compassion is the root of all the happiness in the world, you know, all the happiness in the world. And again, you know, we can see, you know, when you see some individuals who are so kind, compassionate, so much concern, truly caring, unconditionally, Let's say, example, someone like, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he's one of the most happy persons we can see in the world, despite all different challenges, personally, one of the most cheerful, joyly, happy persons. Infections, that his joy is very infections, that when people are around him, even someone who is not feeling well before, when he's around, they started to feel that energy and they started to feel good and joyful and happy, and starting to smile. That is that kind of contagious joyfulness is there. Yeah, and that is how you can see how joyful he is. And how much he has able to bring positive changes, on mental level, emotional levels, changing people's attitude, people's way of thinking, as well as external, a lot of good changes, positive changes, and joy and happiness in the world. And the reason why he is able to do is because of that cherishing thought for others. Cherishing thought for others is the result of cherishing thought for others. The Bishop Desmond Tutu and Dalai Lama, as many of you have seen the document, as well as maybe read the book, Out of Joy. I think that is what it's called, Out of Joy. And also there are videos, clips, And in one of that, there is that, Desmond Tutu saying, of course, he's being a little bit kind of humorous and mischievous, which they act with mischief with each others. But also there is some truth from his point of view. And he said, you are like a big rock stars, you attract, thousands and thousands, fill the whole stadiums, 10,000, 15,000, 30, 40, 50, 100,000, you feel that like a rock star with your broken English. That's what he said. He said, with your broken English, and he said, people didn't come to listen to your broken English, but they come because they are compassions. They come because they are compassions. And he got the point. Desmond Tutu got the right point. The reason why His Holiness the Dalai Lama is able to attract so many people in that way is not because his English is eloquent, his way of talking is very poetry, eloquent, and all of that. Because of compassion, people can feel that energy. People can see that. And that compassion is that, and that is the cherishing thought for others. That is the one, cherishing thought for others. So that is the, next one. But what there is need there to say much more, the childish work for their own benefit and the Buddha's work for the benefit of others, and just look at differences between them. And then here giving example, and it's so true, here what it's saying, look at ourselves, compare ourselves with the Buddha, where we are and where Buddha is now. Buddha is free from all the obscuration, all the faults, the most perfect, the most complete being, the ultimate protector, who have achieved ultimate happiness, all of that, and we are in the samsara sufferings, continuous suffering, never-ending sufferings, never-ending conflict, never-ending problems. You know, why is that? At one time, we were in same situations. There were times when Buddha and we were in the same situations. He was just like ourselves, and we were just same. But how did Buddha become Buddha, and how did we still end up here and still, if not worse, same situations? And here is saying, because the Buddha reduce and eliminate the selfish attitude and cultivate it and follow the cherishing thought for others. And by that, he reached that point, that state. Whereas we follow the selfish attitude become our boss, and we become the slave of that selfish attitude. We listen to that selfish attitude. We carry the job of that selfish attitude. The selfish attitude says, say something nasty to that guy. I don't like it. And then we say nasty things, The selfish attitude says, cheat that person because I want more. And then we carry the war, cheat the others. All these things, we carry and we listen to the selfish attitude and carry all the dirty job of the selfish attitude. And thereby we follow the selfish attitude as though it is our guru, our yidam, our Buddha, diligently we follow that, and that is why we are still where we are. So that is where it is saying, if I do not actually exchange my happiness for the suffering of others, I shall not attain the state of Buddhahood, and even cyclic existence shall have no joy. So, unless we practice of this, exchanging self with others, through the cherishing thought for others, by reducing and overcoming the selfish attitude, and by cultivating the cherishing thought for others, out of that, then the willingness to take some hardship, some sufferings, if it is necessary, in order to benefit and help others, the willingness to share and give our happiness, our joy, our virtues, our resources, if it is needed to help someone else, and the willingness to take some hardship, sufferings, in order to reduce someone's suffering, if it is necessary, If we don't practice in such Bodhisattva's attitude and Bodhisattva practice, then it said there's no way one can achieve the ultimate happiness of fully enlightened state. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Of course, we can even enter the Bodhisattva path, first path, and then we can progress on the rest of the path, rest of the bhumi, and rest of the enlightenment. But still, while we are in cyclic existence in samsara, we will have no joy, And as we mentioned before, because when you are overpowered by selfish attitude, you cannot find real joy. Absolutely no. You can find temporary relief here and there, but you wouldn't really find true joy, happiness, when you are driven by selfish attitude. Absolutely not. The selfish attitude can never bring you true inner peace, joy, and happiness. Absolutely not. And it's something complicating philosophy. We just have to be honest with ourselves. the honestly willingness to check ourselves and investigate ourselves, and you can realize that, you can see that very clearly, very clearly. You know, we become so, what you call, fragile, and so easy. We are so easy to be unhappy anytime. From being okay and feeling good and happy to be unhappy, and so small things can make us like that very quickly, unhappy, disturbed. Small things. And if you try to think, what is that makes us that things? If you go beyond what is happening, the external conditions, then it is the selfish attitude. I wanted a sunny day today, but it was cloudy. I had planned for picnic. I was looking so forward. Now it's raining. Why? Because I need to have good day for picnic, sunny day. If you are sitting in a house, you are a farmer, oh, so happy. Wow, today is raining, so happy. We needed that. I needed that. So it's not because of why you are so unhappy. It's not because of rain itself. It was because your selfish attitude wanted sunny, because of your selfish one, because of fulfill that your picnic, to have a better picnic, and therefore it make you unhappy. And if we look that with all situations, why I'm happy, why I'm unhappy because of this and that. If you go behind that, it's not because of raining, because it is because of your selfish attitude. If you don't have selfish attitude, okay, it's raining, but I can still manage that. I can still be happy. I'm great that is helping the planet, is helping the trees, it is helping the sentient beings, is helping the farmers. You will be happy to see that, instead of being so, even though you have planned a picnic, you will manage that somehow in different ways. Instead, you will feel happy. But when you have that selfish attitude, then that is when you become unhappy. And we can apply that to all others. It's quite clear. So therefore, even in cyclic existence, shall have no joy. And next one, let alone what is beyond the world, because of my servant doing no work, and because my master giving me no pay, even the needs of this life will not be fulfilled. If everyone is selfish, then even the life of these things that need to be fulfilled in care will not be able to take care of. If the master is selfish and don't pay the salary, the worker will not come and work. Then the work will not be done. If the worker is selfish, even the master is paying the salary, if they don't show up because they're selfish, with different excuses, but again, it will not serve. The work will be not done. Therefore, if both of them are not selfish, and one paid the job and one works sincerely, then the job will be done. So again, by rejecting the method that establishing both foreseeable in this life, unforeseeable in the future joy, I cast magnificent delight completely aside, and then because of inflating misery on others, in confusion I seize the hold of unbearable. So yeah, it is saying, instead of out of working, cherishing thought for others, which bring, true happiness, joyful, true lasting happiness. Instead, we follow the selfish attitude, and with that selfish attitude, then we harm others. With our three doors: body, speech, mind, different actions, and due to that, then in the future we bring sufferings. Oh, I don't know. I think I might have to stop here. So sorry. So again, in short, second point is contemplating on the shortcoming or fault of the cherishing selfish attitude, which we learned some of them, already this time. Basically, all the sufferings that is in the world is a result of that. And third point is, contemplating on the benefit of cherishing thought for others, and that all the happiness, temporary, ultimate happiness, is a result of cherishing thought for others. The cherishing thought for others bring you temporary happiness, ultimate happiness, bring you happiness to you, happiness to others. Whereas selfish attitude bring suffering to you, suffering to others, everyone's. And with that understanding, then we try to reduce the selfish attitude as much as possible, try to cultivate and increase cherishing thought for others as much as possible. On the basis of that understanding, that selfish attitude is the root of all the sufferings, yours and others, temporary and now in long-term sufferings, whereas cherishing thought for others is the root of happiness for you, happiness for others, root of happiness for your temporary, root of happiness, ultimate happiness. With that understanding, then we try to cherish, exchange the attitude from being a selfish attitude to being cherishing thought for others. So changing that attitude. At the moment, the predominating attitude for us is selfish attitude. Cherishing thought for others comes once a while. Even that one not so pure, but it comes once a while. But dominating the selfish attitude all the time. So we try to change that attitude. Instead, then it becomes the cherishing thought for others become predominating. It is always there all the times. It's a selfish attitude, not arising or arising only very seldomly, only very sometime, and not all the time, and very small and like that. And then there is one exercises there in that. Exchanging self with others. If you read later, there is an exercise, of visualizing all sentient beings on one side, and yourself, who is this selfish attitude, who only think of oneself on one side, and yourself as a observer, unbiased observer. On one side, there's countless sentient beings. On one side, there's only one being who is totally selfish, who only think of his happiness, nothing else. And then from a observer, yourself as an observer, unbiased, then try to see who's more important, the countless sentient beings or this one individual who is so selfish. If you have to help someone, who will be the first priority? The countless sentient being one side, or that one selfish individuals? And so with that, then we begin to have better pictures. That kind of visualization help. And then in that visualizations, then you yourself, you have two of yourself. One is the old selfish, totally selfish on one side, and the other one is a little bit less selfish with the rest of the sentient beings. And then yourself who's with the rest of sentient beings, then practicing or engaging in, jealousy, generating jealousy to that selfish attitude, one individual, generating a competitiveness with that, generating of putting down that one, the selfish persons. And so that is the one exercise, kind of exercise that you find as part of exchanging self with others. We didn't have time to go through that, but if you can read it, and especially if you can get a commentary, you can read it, and then there is a little bit of that exercise, that part of that. And then fifth point of meditation is, what you call tonglen, taking and giving. The taking and giving is a little bit here. It is not much extensively here, but it just mentioned and is there. So that is, and on the basis of, through the practice of tonglen, then we increase and improve true loving kindness, compassions. On the basis of that true loving kindness, compassion, and special attitude, then one develop the bodhicitta mind. Okay, so we'll stop here, unfortunately, because someone is coming to pick me up to go to the next class. So thank you. I didn't even have time to take questions today, but
okay. Thank you.
So thank you very much.
you can share.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
much. Let's make a Mandela offering. Thank you for these teachings. Manoshi, can you share? Yeah. Sajibhagi Jungshin Vedo Tramri Ravlingji Nidegen Padi Sangye Yindu Mideu Drokunam Dajina Cheparsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Diryajayami.
The dedication.
Yeah. May all beings everywhere obtain an ocean of happiness. May all beings everywhere plagued by sufferings of body and mind attain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, the deaf hear sounds, and those with bodies worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May those naked find clothing, the hungry find food, may the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests, and may medicines be effective, and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur in the gain. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Yes. Protector of beings in the teachings of the land of snow, who makes the path that unifies emptiness and compassion ever more clear. To Tenzin Gyatso, holder of the lotus, I make request. May the aim of your wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious one, Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the goodness, the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, venerable Guru, to you I make requests. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the Victorious One's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels, and the great ways of Bodhicitta, the children of the Victorious Ones, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Geshe-la.
much,
It's so
Geshe-la.
good. It's so good.
Please
I'm
teach again.
I'm sorry I didn't finish and I didn't have the time to take the questions.
So maybe you can come again, Geshe-la, and teach
Thank
again
you.
for us, please.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have a
Thank
good day.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Much love to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Minoshi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to stay on who asked a question and